So a fellow Team Fortress 2 enthusiast named Zesty Jesus has just uploaded a video called "The Future is Casual." And this video is a response to my video of "Is TF2 becoming too competitive?" And after watching the video, I kind of saw this as an opportunity to sort of go over some of the points that I felt were a little bit unclear in the video that I made. So I'm making this video as a response to his video, which is a response to my video, and hopefully we can keep that chain going. But just for now, I kind of want to go through the video and talk about some of the points he makes, because I feel like these are points that a lot of other people agree with and are constantly making most of the time. I would like to sort of offer my counter opinions and counterpoints to these. So let's go through the video, shall we?
This is a comment that was left on ArraySeven's video called, "Is TF2 becoming too competitive?"
Judging by the fact that Zesty chose this comment to sort of model his argument after, there seems to be this sort of critical miscommunication here that I'm trying to tell you how to play the game. No, I'm not. I'm not going to tell you how to play the game, and I will never tell you how to play the game. I'll give you advice on how to get better at it, but I'm never going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't do. That's not what our goal here is. Our goal is to look at Team Fortress 2 as objectively as a set of mechanics, as a game, as a set of interlocking parts, and do the best we can to make it more efficient at doing what it's supposed to do.
Want it to be a hardcore competitive game when they are a hugely vocal minority. Official 6v6 is dead for a reason, and competitive TF2 on an esports level also doesn't really exist for good reasons. Competitive players can enjoy the game how they want.
Okay, so this is an opportunity for me to explain exactly what I meant when I say competitive. When people hear the phrase competitive Team Fortress 2, exactly what they think of is some sort of hardcore, rank grinding, 6v6, ultra competitive, super hard in the trenches kind of Team Fortress 2, and that's not what I'm talking about. Competitive Team Fortress 2, I'm talking about friendly competition. To me, it's like the same kind of competition that you get when you and your friends are like hanging out in a basement playing Super Smash Brothers, right? Sure, you're fighting against each other, and sure, whoever's the best is going to win, but you're there because you like playing A, with your friends, and B, you like playing Super Smash Brothers in the first place. I think that's a perfectly fair thing to want from a game.
I 100% agree. The future of TF2 is not in the competitive arena, and it never will be.
Well, not with that
a vast
attitude.
Majority of players have always enjoyed TF2 as a casual game. Organized competitive TF2 has been around for over 10 years, and despite its multiple avenues of advertisement and engagement, like eCeleb support or blog posts from Valve, in-game announcements, hell, even in-
Okay, again, back to the misinterpretation of what we mean by competitive. I'm not trying to tell you guys to go play RGL or UGC or something like that. I'm not. I'm just saying that we should prioritize the gameplay of Team Fortress 2, and the game being more competitive as a result of that would be a good thing. It would make it a better game.
Changes based on competitive player input. The competitive scene has never grown larger than 5 to 10%
this is not the competitive scene I'm talking about. This is not the competitive that I'm talking about.
A small minority.
We're missing the point
this
here.
idea of shifting the majority towards what the minority wants, i.e. bridging competitive and casual, is a good thing, or that competitive TF2 will save the game, is just wrong.
Okay, bridging competitive and casual is a good thing. It is a good thing. Bringing two communities of players closer together, that's a good thing. People seem to be under the impression that bridging competitive and casual means making casual more like competitive. No, it brings both of them down. It makes competitive more like casual and casual more like competitive. And some of you would I'm sure some of you would really like competitive if it was more like casual. That's probably one of the reasons why you don't play competitive, or don't play competitively, I should say. You know, because every time I say competitive, I think, what do you mean there? What do you mean, Array? Do you mean UGC? Do you mean like TF2's competitive mode? Like, no, where you're actually trying to win and you actually give a damn. That's what I'm talking about. Trying to win. I think trying to win is something that people are forgetting, and I think people don't understand exactly the nuance that goes into Team Fortress 2 when you're genuinely trying to win, and I think that's what people miss out on the most.
Stricter rule sets and severely limiting in-game content. They do this via item whitelists, small map rotations, class limits, round time.
Yeah, Okay, so I'll agree. I'll agree with this. I actually don't like the level of rules and restrictions that competitive TF2 requires. I think that's one of the biggest barriers for entry, is just getting used to an entirely different climate for playing this game in the first place. It's hard. It's very hard. It's very intimidating. It's not a lot of fun. I'll put it that way.
Yet semi-organized nature of TF2 into something that is simpler, really well-structured, repetitive, and predictable, which is required for a competitive game, would frankly kill TF2, because it would turn it into something that people don't want to play.
So by this logic then, that the only difference between a game like Valorant or CSGO or Overwatch is its structure. Is that the argument? Is that the argument that I'm getting from? Am I reading that correctly? TF2 is so beyond different from either of them. You know, we have our history with Overwatch and comparing TF2 to Overwatch, but apples and oranges. Seriously, apples and oranges here. It really is. It really is. And I think that saying that competitive TF2 is just the same as CSGO, Overwatch, and Valorant, I don't think that's a fair comparison. I think that's an insult to TF2, actually. I think that's an insult of how well TF2 is designed.
Changes like this, but simply expecting for everyone else to conform to those new rules and be happy with them, which is an argument made in Array's video, is simply unfair. Especially to those left of the number 3 on his scale. Balance.
I'm so happy he uses this scale, by the way. I worked very hard on this. I don't know if you guys can tell, I spent hours working on this scale. I hope you guys appreciate it. I hope it's a good visual aid. I really hope so. But see, here's one of the things that I know when I first watched this video. This further exemplifies what I'm talking about when I say that this point is missed. We have the question of, what do we design the game for? We have the question of, which one of these two do we cater the design of the game for? Personally, I think catering toward the right half, this 50%, I would say, is probably the best option to make it a better game. And the farther we go to the left, the less TF2 loses its identity as a game and more of a social space. And maybe that's what people want, but I think TF2 is too good for that. I think it's way too good for that. It's, like I said, way too well designed to just turn into VR chat.
What has made the game timeless and fun? A casual first-person shooter. TF2 is one of the last bastions of the casual FPS category.
Wait. I don't understand this. This last bastions of the casual FPS category. I don't think I fully understand that. You know you can choose what games you play, right? Like, you can choose to take them seriously or choose not to. No one's making you play Overwatch competitively. Because it's super easy to play a shooter casually, just don't take it too serious. Don't take it seriously, that's it. Like, it's a choice. It is an actual choice to play something competitively or casual.
This is not why most people are here. It's just like this guy said.
It's just like this guy said. No, it's just what Breadcrumbs said. They have a name. Credit your sources. Give them credit for their ideas. Sorry, that's a nitpick. It's kind of a pet peeve of mine. Moving on, whatever.
TF2 is where you can frag, hang out, and have a great time without needing to worry about winning. You shouldn't have to need or worry about getting better at the game. It has been, and always should be, optional. And if players want...
See, here's the thing with that, though. We're trying to make that side more accessible to people. That's what we're trying to do. A lot of us are trying to make that option so that people can play the way they want to play easier to get to. I agree with everything you say here. I 100% agree. It should be optional. How you play a video game should 100% always be optional and completely up to you. It is supposed to be relaxing, it's supposed to be fun, and no one can tell you how to relax or have fun. I mean, as long as it's not hurting anybody else. What I am trying to do, however, is make the competitive side or competitive play in TF2 much more accessible, right? I'm not saying we should make the game completely competitive. I'm just saying more competitive. And I think that is the key delineation here, because none of us are saying that Team Fortress 2 should be always competitive all the time. We should structure it like 6v6 Highlander all the time. No, not at all. Not at all. I'm saying we should encourage people to play competitively more so that the people who like playing competitively have a better place to play competitively amongst each other. That's all I'm thinking. All I'm trying to do is just encourage communities to strengthen themselves and strengthen each other.
Want that competitive nature, want to get better at the game so they can grow their skills and compete against other players to win. Well, guess what? That's pretty much always been there in the Sixes and Highlander scene. Ah yes, of course, competitive players all bailed out for Overwatch and other games some years ago, but we all know how well that worked out for them. They're all back now and want TF2 to be something it isn't. Again. Competitively oriented players are indeed the loudest vocal minority of the...
I'm not even gonna touch that. I'm not even gonna touch that. Whoo, what a statement.
The TF2 player base. They have driven a lot of change over the past few major updates, and they hold a lot of influence. But when Valve listened to their input on balance changes, what did we get? We got items that were nerfed into the floor that were perfectly fine and wacky and casual, but not competitively viable because it didn't fit into a predictable, repetitive, and boring meta. We received a barely functioning matchmaking system that killed community servers. They got their 6v6 mode too. And when these competitive players got the changes they wanted, like in the Meet Your Match or Jungle Inferno updates, what did they do? They just fucking ignored them and went back to what they've been doing for the past decade.
Because it was broken. Because it didn't work. I don't understand. I don't know where to start with this. I don't know where to start this. Where is the conspiracy that all competitive players are secretly trying to make TF2 their personal crybaby game? Where is that conspiracy? Where is this? You guys, do you remember that they play the same game that you do? They're not trying to take away they are this involved with TF2 because they love Team Fortress 2. They love Team Fortress 2 so much, they sink almost 10,000 hours, more than that. I think Banny is like 18,000 hours in TF2. Now, it's one thing to tell these people that they don't know what they're talking about, that those thousands of hours of experience mean nothing, right? It's another thing to accuse them of ruining the game. Of course, people are probably going to be upset that I'm defending competitive players because people don't like competitive players. And I'll admit, they're not usually the most jovial people out there. Some of them have admittedly some abrasive personalities, but to accuse them of not loving something they spend so much time trying to make better or something trying to be a part of, I think is a little much, in my opinion. Meet Your Match being the result of competitive player influence, I think is a huge misnomer. I think that is a huge misnomer. I think that is the result of a lack of resources. I think a lack of resources, lack of time, lack of energy, lack of enthusiasm, lack of a lot of things that TF2 desperately needs these days. But I do not blame competitive players for Meet Your Match. Not at all. Not at all.
And the majority of players that enjoy the game casually were left to pick up the fucking pieces. Oh, Valve just needs to give competitive even more attention, or make even more changes so the game becomes more competitive. Then it will stick, right guys? It'll work this time, right? TF2 will never be a fully viable esport as a whole intact game.
Okay. There's a lot to pick apart there. So I just went through the rest of the video and just sort of watched everything. And the rest of the video basically just doubles down this claim that Team Fortress 2 not only should not be competitive, but cannot be competitive, right? And to either of them throughout this entire video, I have yet to be given, I feel like I have yet to be given any kind of substantial evidence as to why not. Like, all I hear is that you don't like competitive and other people don't like competitive. And that's fine. That's bound to happen. That's just a part of having a demographic. But why TF2 can't be competitive, or why we can't encourage more people to play competitive, I still have yet to be given a reason why that's a bad thing or why it can't be done at all. So far, all I've gotten is that TF2 is casual and chaos and people like it for that, and changing that would take that away. Well, we're not trying to take that away, number one. But number two, we can't. We literally can't. Everything that you love about TF2 is going to... One of the points I made in the video was that we can't take the silliness out of Team Fortress 2, and you don't need to act like we are. But look, I realize that in the video, I think I might have omitted a part of the video that I think I probably should have put in. And that is exactly why I think that competitive is good for Team Fortress 2, or that competitive player input, or that gearing the game towards competitive players is good for it. To me, Team Fortress 2, every element and every gameplay decision made in Team Fortress 2 was made in the interest of accomplishing a goal. And to me, that goal is encouraging cooperation between players. Not just cooperation, though, synergy. Actual, like, cohesion. Everyone is running in this machine. It is a team, and the efficiency at which you can innovate with your strategy as a team it completely impacts and entirely impacts how you win and how you succeed. That sounds super exciting to me. That sounds like a fantastic game. That sounds like a fantastic game to play casually, to play competitively, to play as an esport, whatever, to just play, period. And it is. Team Fortress 2 is a lot of fun. I don't know if you guys know this yet. This game has succeeded for as long as it has because of how good it is at accomplishing the goal of encouraging players to synergize and communicate and cooperate with each other. And I think if we're going to continue keeping TF2 relevant and modern and innovative, we're going to have to encourage and service the one thing the game is designed to do. So I just watched I just took a look at your news video, right? And I couldn't help but notice that you actually have a very fancy collection of Bionicle figures behind you, right? And as a fellow Bionicle appreciator myself, I'll see if I can't put this in terms that I think you'd understand. When Makuta originally released the Borak swarms, Kadak and Gadak reawoke, right? And as we are very well aware, the Borak swarms seem almost to be like an autoimmune system for the biological chronicle that is Matanui. Now, the Toamata, before they got turned into the Toanuva, they froze Kadak and Gadak with energized protodermis exactly where they are, right? And imprisoned them because it was not their time yet. What they were doing to the island was destructive and was seen as destructive, but on the whole, it was for the betterment and for the better health of the Great Spirit. And, as we found out later, in order for the Great Spirit to be awakened, the Borak swarms had to, in fact, have been released. So, I think now has come that time. I think it's time that we release Kadak and Gadak, and we did what was for the best of the health of our game. You know, it might be unpleasant and it might seem sad, but maybe it's time that we move forward and we start awakening the Great Spirit. And this is so weird that I've somehow managed to tie Team Fortress 2 and Bionicle, two of like my childhood fascinations, together. And I really hope this makes sense to you whatsoever, because I don't think it does. And everybody else who's watched this probably has no idea what I'm talking about either. I just had to have some kind of use for all this useless lore in my head. So yeah, I hope that makes sense in any way, shape, or form. So thank you for indulging me on that. But I appreciate it. Thank you for making the video. Thank you for watching the video, everybody. I'll see you guys next time.